Yes,
So
absolutely.
Arthur, you've been not too long ago a
Yes.
guest in our clinic, a patient in our clinic on our island. How long ago did you manage to come to Cyprus?
I came in the beginning of July, early July, and I left in early August.
Okay.
Yeah.
And can you describe to our viewers in which condition you arrived on the island?
Yes. So I came because of long COVID, which started after an infection about 2 years prior in August of 2022. And then I think was exacerbated some by further infections, which were not certainly COVID. The first was definitely COVID. The latter ones were not certainly COVID. Yeah,
Reactivations as well. We see
yeah,
that a lot. Yeah.
absolutely.
And what was your life like, the symptoms that you were suffering of
It
from?
was pretty miserable, and I thought that I was going to you know lose many of the things that I uh, cared about most, and I had a real sort of crisis of meaning because um, I couldn't really work properly. I couldn't, if I could at best do 30 to 40% of what I'm capable of, probably more like 15. Um,
Yeah, well,
I,
people don't know that you're also neurodiverse and you are actually um, well, from my point of view, not only extremely clever because we never had to explain to you, well, listen, Archer, we just said things like for in cleavage site, S1 spike, S2 spike, and we're like, yeah, 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 yeah. So you were one of those people that were really deep in the matter. You've done your own research. You're also studying still, right?
yes, yes. So I was doing a degree at MIT, which I still am doing. Last year, during the long COVID, I had to drop many classes, and it was just extremely difficult. And I wouldn't have been able to finish the degree had I not gotten better. And now, this last semester that I've just done after improvement was the first semester where I basically got straight A's, and um, I'm just like on top form again.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
Congratulations. I have a similar episode. So when I read the newspaper with my wife, I was always doing it in a certain way. I was reading my page, same page as her, and she's a fast reader, but I was three times faster. So I just had a coffee and waited till she was done. And that's how it was always done. But when I had long COVID, we
Mm.
were reading at the same speed. So I lost two-thirds of my reading speed during long COVID. And for the first time, I didn't know how to do things anymore.
Right.
I felt slow. I felt stupid. I had no access to my brain in a normal way or function. My brain would not jump on the things that it used to. Like, for example, I cannot memorize short digit numbers, but long
Right.
digit numbers I can always memorize without even, you know,
It's
I don't know if
interesting.
yeah. So that was all gone. And now it's back. Thanks God for that. It's
Yeah.
when we're in the research, it's just so great to have full access to your brain capacity, isn't it?
Yes, yes, no, it's incredible. And yeah, I mean the brain fog was such a major handicap for me. And again, because so much of my life had been directed around uh study and future focus towards career. Uh then to lose the capacity to do that felt like I had not only had my sort of self identity been injured, but really I was struggling to understand for what reason I would exist at all, if not to contribute somehow, in the ways that I had come to expect myself capable of doing. And
Yeah, I remember you were suffering a lot, but
I
you were
was
not only suffering from that, you were physically suffering, you were in pain, you were crashing, you were fatigued, you were maybe you want to give us your 5 to 10 most crippling or disabling symptoms that you experienced when
yeah.
you arrived.
So the fatigue, the crashing, the post exertional malaise, and the brain fog as like a cluster. Those were by far the worst. I remember, and it was very interesting to me that I got some little cold, whilst I was in Cyprus, and it always after any type of low level, even uh, otherwise sort of subliminal for most people, uh, viral infection, cold, whatever, I would get like a week afterwards of just being like utterly destroyed, basically. And
Mm.
I remember that my not that this is a scientific measure, but I still do enjoy returning to the filter as like a indicator of something being done. And I remember the first few times we didn't see that much in my filter, and then afterwards I had this major crash, and then just like there was just all of this stuff, probably from just a hyperactivated complementary immune system uh, engaging all of its
Could be, yeah.
um,
But sometimes we also see that what we call the floodgate effect.
right,
So your tissues don't release certain proteins the first, second, third time, and then suddenly filter five goes full. And as
right,
you quite rightly said, this is not a scientific approach. This is, and
right,
I keep telling patients how much is in the filter is more or less pure entertainment because it
right, right.
shows fibrinogen strings, it shows inflammation protein, it shows cholesterols. However, it is related to severity of symptoms very much.
Yeah, yeah,
But there is no, it's not exactly the best biomarker we have. Best biomarker we have is venous blood gas now and spike protein. And
yes,
we did the molecular diagnostics with you, which was a blessing in your case,
yes,
because I
absolutely.
think that was what, in the end of the day, made you
Probably.
cured
Mm.
without relapsing.
Yes, yes, definitely, definitely, definitely. And
So you were on the molecular, you were on the Maraviroc, you
I
were on the
actually,
atorvastatin.
I actually just took the Miraviroc. I'm still
Yeah.
getting the Molecuzan. I have the Molecuzan. I need to take
Ah,
it.
so you have to go on that. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Good. We've seen stunning results from our laboratory in Basel. 90% spike protein reduction in 8 weeks in the immune cells.
Wow. So I think
Yeah.
what I will want to do going forward is I will want to do the Molecuzan, and I never ended up doing the fluvoxamine thing, but
If
I
it's not needed, you don't have to.
yeah, yeah, yeah. Which is good because I would hate to have
But
to
I
go.
mean, you did a lot of therapies. How many apheresis did you do?
I did 7.
And then how many
And then I
IVs
and
did
then
you
I did
do?
a proper high dose IVIG. I did 4 days, 20 bottles of pentaglobin.
Whoa, that
Yeah.
is. But I'm quite sure that also boosted your recovery because
12.
that's really good.
It was either 12 or 20. I think it was, I'm not sure. Either way, it was a lot.
I think it was 20.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
think it was 20. I think it was 20. I
Mhm.
think it was 20. Yeah.
Is the maximum dose we're allowed to legally administer, except for uh, a situation where it's not a life death situation where you're having a sepsis. Then the
Right.
dosage is higher, of course,
Right, right.
but it's the highest that's legally possible to be administered, and it's so incredibly good because the IgM enhanced version of the IVIG pentaglobin,
Right.
it's just so more potent for patients like us. The
Right.
IgM basically trains your own immune system in addition to replacing your immune system with the one of 1,000 healthy people, right? So
Right.
that's
Right.
great. And we removed all of those IGs that were actually causing you issues, the
Right.
autoantibodies with the helper-apheresis, and
Yeah.
then we gave you back all the good ones. So that's a really good way of doing it, I think. And were you already? I think we didn't have hyperthermia when you were here, right? That only came when you left, basically.
Yeah, we had infrared sauna, but which
Yeah.
is perhaps a step in
So
that
we
direction.
interpolated it. Yeah.
Yeah.
Now we're seeing crazy amounts of people with reactivated Lyme and other post-bacterial infections combined with post-COVID and long COVID and post-vac. And there the hyperthermia is great. And I heard you're doing a lot of sauna now and cold water swimming as well.
Yes, a lot of sauna. And yes, and I just got out of the ocean, which is behind me
Nice. Very nice.
in
So
January.
one last question. Um, or actually it's two or three combined. So was it, first of all, easy to find us? Then when you came to the clinic, w- how did you, how was it? What was the experience like? Were you overwhelmed, underwhelmed? Were you like, I don't know, just for an outsider, because we all know how it is in the clinic, but somebody who's never been there, it's hard for them to understand what it is that we're doing there. And
Yes.
then, did the result match your expectation, and then were your hopes fulfilled? Those three things combined in one question, maybe.
So
Yeah.
the results perhaps exceeded my expectation, um, partially because I was trying not to have expectations that were too high, but also but they have met my hopes,
Mm.
which is amazing, really amazing. When I first came to the clinic, I had a lot of conflicting thoughts. I love the fact that everyone was really friendly. I didn't know what to think because it did not strike me, though it was very professional, as the typical experience of a medical clinic I'd ever had. Because
No.
normally those are sort of very interpersonal, not interpersonal. They're sort of, there's the cold sheen between you and everyone
Yeah.
else.
Huge distance.
Indeed, indeed. Um, and I come from a family of doctors, all of whom have opinions about things, which is
Uh,
perhaps the greatest threat to a patient is the multiplicity of doctor opinions, um, uh, if they are not capable of navigating them well.
but you were lucky. You managed really well.
Yes, yeah. So look, what I would say is that I had a healthy dose of skepticism coming in, and the best
Mhm.
possible outcome, I would say, was the outcome that actually happened.
So
And
how are the doctors in the family now referring to the topic that you've proven
um,
them to be wrong?
um, well, they're glad that I'm better, and
But do they acknowledge that you were quite good in your analytics and designing your treatment courses, or they go like, "Yeah, you were just
my
lucky"?
my my father definitely does. My father definitely does. He's 5 board certified doctor, nephrologist, among other things, and yes, he was I think my most staunch supporter throughout the whole
Right. Well, he's
situation.
a nephrologist, so he understands. But there's less than 100 doctors who really do understand the multimodal combination therapy and the specific apheresis forms.
Right,
Well, let me put it like this. So if I tell you, do you know Ferrari? You will say, of course, everybody knows Ferrari. Say, yeah. Could you build one? No. And
right,
it's pretty much the same with building multimodal combination therapy. Everybody has heard it that you treat HIV, cancer with multimodal therapy. It's new for COVID, long COVID, post-COVID, post-vac. I agree, but almost nobody can do it. And it's been quite interesting because it's so interesting in the medical field. People love to criticize, right?
right,
And I have actually taken a different view on that. I don't see it as criticism. I see it as comments. I
right,
only understand it as criticism if it comes from an expert. So my
right,
first question to a doctor is always, "Oh, thank you for calling or for meeting.
right.
How many hundred patients have you treated successfully with COVID?" Oh, zero. Oh, well, okay, I see. Yeah, okay. So what's your question? Oh,
Right.
yeah, okay. Well, and why do you think this cannot work? No, no, it's
Right.
been 10,000 patients by now. Oh,
Yes.
how many? Well, over 80%. Yeah. Thank you so much. So that's the
Yes.
usual
Yes.
conversation, right?
Yes.
And
Yes.
it's I really didn't have to defend the clinic lately anymore. Um, some of the leading clinics of the world are now referring patients to us, leading doctors of the world. Documentaries have been shot, so it's getting better. But in the first year, it definitely was so new, so cutting edge that nobody really knew. And
Yes.
now everybody goes like, yeah, yeah, well, it's great. We fully support it. We always said we liked it. It's
Right.
this is what the doctor said to me. He said, Marcus, there's three levels in medicine. Level one, they attack you. Level two, they try to ridiculize you. Level
Right.
three, they say they've always endorsed you from day one.
Yes. Absolutely. Absolutely. And my one of my first experiences attempting to seek treatment for this was shambolic in every possible way. We've spoken about this. A lot of people with long COVID or similar, not highly visible immunological issues end up getting some sort of, you know, sent to psych evaluation or something,
Of
uh,
course.
or um, suggested it's suggested that they're sick in the head rather than in the body, simply
Because it's the easy way
uh,
out, my friend.
because it's the easy way out. And that happened to me the first time. Uh, the doctor pretended to take me seriously and then asked me if I would be willing to take a childhood trauma test. And I was like, well, what about what about my like doing some tests on my immune system, and what about even just sedimentation rate? I mean, could we at least check if my blood is like slightly thicker than it should be or something? And no. So it was a real battle to find people who took me seriously, and I
And
was
who knew
taking,
how to treat you,
yeah, and who
because
knew
our
treatment.
doctors are
Exactly.
amazing. And but I got a lot more mild because there's now more and more doctors who try their best at least. Now
Mhm.
I know they don't have access to cutting edge German med tech like we do. They don't have everything in one place. And don't forget, we are the world's first specialized long COVID post-vac clinic, purpose-built one, and we
Right.
do only this. So we're supposed to be good at this, right? So we don't do anything else. If you come in with a broken leg or you have a heart problem that needs to be operated, I'll go, thank you. I can recommend you someone, but we can
Yes.
fix this. But if you
Yeah.
come in
Yeah.
with long COVID, post-COVID, Lyme, fibromyalgia, long list of chronic illnesses, I'll go like, yep, that's right up our street, and we're really good at this because
Yeah.
that's all we do 24/7, you know.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yes. So I mean,
I'm so happy to see you like this, Archer. I mean, wow,
yes.
now you can continue your MIT projects and you can be someone again because you
Yes.
had lost your identity. You were not yourself anymore. I could see you suffering. I mean, you were at that time one of the younger patients. I mean, now we have a lot of teenagers here, but you were one of the younger patients, and I could, because you said, well, it didn't feel like a real clinic. It felt like a family thing, maybe, or like a community thing, because it was very private and everybody really cared about you, like
Yes.
all the time. Because I don't know if you remember, but the side effects of COVID for you were definitely manic saw loops,
Yes.
and anxiety and all of that, which I had the same.
Yes.
And that's really hard for people who've never had it, right?
Yes. Yeah. Yeah. Absolutely.
Then and then seeing how it gets less and less by the week. Wow, beautiful. I
Yeah.
remember when you walked out the door, I saw you and I was like, "Woo, we're
Yes.
sending a very different boy home from the island than
And
arrived."
and I was even still like I was better when I left, but I somehow didn't understand fully how much improvement would happen afterwards. Like the majority of the improvement happened after I left. Like when I left,
Yeah,
I even for the
the
first month,
famous 4 months.
yeah, I wasn't sure how better I was. And now it has been about 4 months, and I am,
Oh, this is so cool.
majorly better. Yeah.
You know, I'm very proud of our team in the clinic. They're researching the shit out of this topic. We have really great doctors. We just you missed our newest doctor that just started, Dr. Imbar. You would have loved her. And they're researching, they're gathering clinical experience, and it's a very flat hierarchy, and it's a community family thing, and there's no big egos, and I love that. But sometimes I also like to pat them on the back and say, guys, I'm so incredibly proud. You're learning at light speed. And and don't get me wrong, I just like sometimes to be right because like I go like, yeah, look at
Yeah.
my letter 3 years ago. You see, 70% of that, I've done that shit. Worked.
Yes.
you know. And of course, we're just having a laugh. But when I looked at that paper that I wrote 3 years ago, I was like, wow, either I'm just an extremely good gambler, or
Right.
the Asperger's is quite helpful.
Yes.
Anyhow, it worked. And guess what? We're still using 55, 60% of what I figured out back then with the help of my teams, doctor
Right.
teams. We're still using it in today's therapy. Of course, it's much more advanced now, but the
Yes.
basic, pretty much what I did, you know?
Yes. Yes.
Yeah,
Yes. Absolutely. Absolutely. So
cool.
yeah, and
Archer, it's such a pleasure
such a
having
pleasure.
heard your story, and I would love you to do like a little summary for social media, like because most people have brain fog and they can only do like 30, 60 seconds. So to wrap things up, would you want to give a little short 1 minute introduction where you introduce yourself and your story and what happened and where you're now? Is that a good
Yes,
thing?
yes,
Cool.
I can say it very quickly. So 6 months ago, I was worried about my future and thought I wouldn't be able to finish the university that I spent my entire life trying to get into. And now, 4.5 months after treatment, I've just had my first semester where I've gotten near perfect grades, and I feel very close to 100%. And I did not even expect that to happen. And I would never advertise or aid a clinic or anyone for that matter if I didn't seriously think that there was something valuable there. So that's all I'll say. Yes.
Thank you, Archer. Thank you, Archer. All the best. I'm looking forward to all of the great publications that are going to come our way from you once you've finished your graduation, all the new inventions. I mean, MIT, come on. I expect a lot from you. So, but you expect a lot from yourself too. So that's great.
I do. I do. Well, I'm looking forward to it. So thank you so much for everything,
Thank you
Mark.
so much, Archer. And whenever you want to come back for a vacation, bring your family. I'd love to get to know them.
I will do. I mean,
And
I might come back, still do some hyperbaric therapy or something. And
nice. You're welcome anytime.
I have a very good friend of mine who also has some either long COVID, Lyme, ME/CFS. It's not totally clear, but he has a very similar symptom profile to me. He's had it for a long period of time.
Yeah, we've had many of those cases. Reactivated Lyme now with the hypothermia and
um,
HELP combo. Tell him to give me a call. If there's something we can do for him, we'll definitely try our
yeah,
best.
no, absolutely. I know where to send him as soon as he can make a little bit of money, and you'll be the cheapest and best place to do it. So yeah,
Thank you, my friend. Well, say hello to your family
yes,
and say hello to your dad and say thank you to him for believing in you and in us, which
absolutely,
meant the world to us.
yes.
And I'm so happy you have your old life back, Archer.
Thank
Seeing
you
you
so much.
flying and knowing that just a little bit of the air under your wings was our clinic, that's great.
Yes, it's unbelievable. So thank you so much.
Thank you, Archer.
Now just a question, maybe before we end the recording. I mean, this can still be on. People can still see this
Of
if you want.
course.
Fine. What was that thing that you said you were still prescribing people now in the past few months after you said Molecusan? You gave me a list. Molecusan,
Yeah.
hyperthermia.
So the Molecusan we've had amazingly nice results with to remove spike protein. The results from the laboratory in Basel were 90% spike reduction within 8 weeks. Of course, it was all in the context of apheresis treatments and hyperthermia treatments. And we've also started the M-base tests with with Professor Dr. Bernard Shaw in the
Mhm.
UK. I'm quite sure you've done the M-base test too.
Mhm.
And depending on the variants that we see where a person has not mounted a perfect immune response, we sometimes then use monoclonal antibodies, like, for example, right now, for most of the Omicron variants, we're using Evusheld. And
Mhm.
that's really boosting people another 10, 20% sometimes. Because
Mhm.
it's quite clear by now what Dr. Gustavo Aguirre, one of our favorite researchers and medical advisors, always said. This is down to spike persistence and viral persistence.
Right.
So everything we've treated you with was basically getting rid of that. And if you want to be nerdy about it, next time you're in Germany, Cyprus, UK, anywhere where you can get access to MMD,
Mhm.
send in one more kit to get the spike protein tested, maybe
I can
even
do
with a
that.
so-called
I can do that now. I'm in the UK now. I'm here for another
correct.
3. I think, and so even though I think you told me that you can't get EU prescriptions in the UK, it's actually
Now you can. Now you
and
can.
you
You were the
can.
one telling us this. So now we've done it with several patients,
Yeah.
and they accept the originals if they're signed and stamped. They accept them because there's an agreement between the UK and the EU in place. So now that's great. Our prescriptions from the clinic are now valid all over Europe, some of the European Economic Area as well that are not EU members. and UK, which is great. And in the US and in Australia, we use cooperating prescribing doctors. But you know yourself, it's difficult because it's every
Absolutely.
state is a bit different, right? So
So
yeah,
what I would say, Marcus, is that I'm in the UK now. I'm close to the EU, so I have a 3 week window now to maybe
yeah.
do some
I'll send you an email with the
like
whole
get
procedure, and then you
yeah,
can just do that very easy.
fantastic,
And
fantastic.
it will be probably. I just had a talk with my friend Joachim Gerlach from Molecular, and he is, you know, he's an alien. He's a scientist, like
I can get Molecuzen out here as well because I have some in New
yeah,
York. But I don't want to wait. I want to order some more Molecuzen here.
yeah. Get another, and there is a new edition, a more broadband binder. It's called liquid spectrum remove, which
Mhm.
is an add-on to the alcohol, really good. And it binds more classes. So what you could do is a so-called provocative test. You
Mhm.
could take liquid spectrum for 5 days and then see, and maybe even the revive,
Mhm.
and then see how much spike protein is still in your blood in the serum,
Yeah.
because in the exosomes and in the immune cells, it should be pretty low by now.
Mhm.
But maybe we still have some cells in your body. And
Mhm.
then if you take molicozan,
Well,
you could do a provocative test and then send it in 5 days later, and we could see that there's still some spike. And I know that you're doing really well now, but the solution to getting rid of the little rest of it is
mhm.
molecozan again.
Mhm.
Minimum 3 months, works like a charm, the protocol. And if we would still find something, oh well, we still have Maroc with atorvastatin, we still
Yeah.
have fluvoxamine and some other things, and of course hyperthermia, because hyperthermia, you would love that.
That's
It's
something
German
that
high
only
tech
like
at its best.
does that exist in the US or no?
It will soon, I hope. I
Good.
mean, yeah. The moment I get hold of, it's not open yet, but the moment I get hold of the first clinic that does it, I'll definitely send you their way. Yeah,
Good.
because it's very affordable. It's like here in Cyprus, it's 390 euros. I know it's a bit more expensive everywhere else. Um, yeah, but it's quite affordable compared to the expensive therapies, IVIG, and compared to help apheresis, which we all know they are expensive because the material is so expensive, right? Yeah.
Yes. Absolutely. Absolutely.
I'm working on my next project. You know, so the first year was creating the perfect portfolio,
Mhm.
then creating the perfect diagnostics. Now this year we're optimizing everything, polishing the diamond, as I like to call it. The algorithm, the algorithm, the treatment portfolio is like, oh my God, you should see it. It's beautiful. I'll send you some things over. And now we're slowly in the next 3 4 years we're trying to expand, because people having to fly all around the world to find the only clinic who's doing that, it's still spooky in a way. But if we can have one base in Australia, one in the US, then
Yeah.
slowly
Yeah.
we're getting there.
Absolutely.
That's our
Absolutely.
next aim. I don't know if, and I don't know how long it's gonna take. For now, people still have to fly to Cyprus, but yeah. And can
Well,
you believe it? Christmas, January, we were full,
yes.
which
Well, who
shows
knows?
there's so many of us
If,
still.
if I if I if I become uh a man of sufficient capital to be looking at for some ventures, I might, fund you myself simply out of feel like duty to my fellow patient.
It's your history. Whenever you're in that position, you're more than welcome, because there is so much research we still need to do.
Yes. So
And I'm now 46. I have another 20 years in me minimum. I don't think I will ever retire,
yes.
because I don't
A lot
know.
of
This
fucking
thing
energy,
just
Marcus. I
found
don't know
me.
where it comes from, but it's
Yeah, I mean, I'm completely obsessed with it, you know. So you need a level of obsession to keep doing
yes.
this all
Ab-
the time. But
ab-
it's great. Archer, thank you so
Thank you.
much. It was so great to see you. And
Well,
as I said, next vacation, when you're on the beach with your family, choose Cyprus again. Say hello for a coffee. Let's go for a drink. Will be for sure a nice little experience. Thank you so much, my
absolutely.
friend.
Absolutely. All the best,
We'll talk
Marcus.
soon. Bye bye.